Randy Orton betrays Cody Rhodes. Gunther attacks John Cena. Shane McMahon's son lands an ESPN internship. Unfortunate news for WWE following Raw. Biggest backstage reason why WWE isn't that good in 2025. Andrade officially signs a new deal with AEW. SmackDown viewership sees a decrease despite Jacob Fatu's return. Rey Mysterio's return update. A stalker threatens to kill a WWE legend's wife. A Hall of Famer signs a new WWE contract after 15 years. Triple H booking Roman Reigns, an OG Bloodline member, in another betrayal angle. Let's dive right in. Gunther attacks John Cena. Every WWE Premium Live event holds the spark for a huge comeback, and Crown Jewel might deliver just that. All the major champions are locked in for Crown Jewel championship fights. That leaves room for a hungry challenger to crash the party, going after the winner or loser of each match. Someone itching for a shot at John Cena before he hangs it up could shake up Perth too. With so many top stars in the mix, something wild has to go down. Here are 4 WWE stars who could storm back at Crown Jewel 2025. Number 1, Austin Theory blasts his old partner. Austin Theory has been missing from Raw for a few months now, but no one said much about why he vanished. Grayson Waller has jumped into a team-up with The New Day. The cocky Aussie ran the Grayson Waller effect at last year's Crown Jewel Premium Live event. Since he doesn't look set for a spotlight match on the card, he'll probably host another round of his chat show. Waller has ripped his former tag partner plenty since linking with Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. Theory could burst back into WWE to crash the talk show. Number 2, Bianca Belair eyes the gold. Bianca Belair has been away from SmackDown since right after WrestleMania 41. She hurt a finger in her triple threat fight with Sky and Rhea Ripley. With Tiffany Stratton holding onto her title against Jade Cargill and Nia Jax on last week's SmackDown, a fresh face needs to step up to challenge the center of the universe. The EST has shown up a few times while nursing the injury, like when WWE hit her hometown of Nashville. She also served as the special guest referee for an Evolution match between Cargill and Naomi. Belair and Stratton have crossed paths once before Stratton claimed the belt. She's a real danger to take it away. Coming back strong to face Tiffy in Perth could be on the horizon. Number 3, Liv Morgan drops the Crown Jewel crown. Even though Liv Morgan has been off Raw since late July, the Judgment Day keeps running strong as a key part of the show. They might not crush it like when Damian Priest and Ripley were in the mix. Still, every member held gold over the summer. Dominic Mysterio hangs on to the Intercontinental Championship, while Finn Balor and JD McDonough hold the World Tag Team Championships. Morgan took the first ever Women's Crown Jewel Championship. Cody Rhodes guards his Men's Crown Jewel Championship spot. The ex-Money in the Bank winner will need to hand over the title or ring, so she should show in Perth. If she's good to go, she could jump either champ to start her comeback feud. Number 4, Gunther targets a WWE icon. Gunther broke his nose in his World Heavyweight title match with CM Punk. He's been out of TV since then, but expect him back soon for the end of 2025 push. The ring general stands as a top pick for the Royal Rumble. He's also a strong bet to face John Cena before the 17-time champ steps away. Calling out Cena is a real shot. The former champ could also bust into the Men's Crown Jewel Championship after party. Aiming at either title holder feels like the right path for the ring general after dropping his gold at SummerSlam. Shane McMahon's son lands an ESPN internship. Shane McMahon's son Declan just finished a summer gig at ESPN, right as WWE's big shows like WrestleMania and Royal Rumble jump from Peacock to ESPN's new streaming setup in 2026. Declan, grandson of Vince and Linda McMahon, worked behind the scenes on ESPN's 40 Under 40 show. Linda McMahon spilled the news during a chat with Sage Steele. My oldest grandson Declan did have an internship at ESPN. Oh, he did this summer on the 40 Under 40 show. I think that might be what it's called, but oh, that's close. I'm probably not saying it exactly right. Linda added how these chances can open doors big time. An internship can lead oftentimes, especially if you're, like a Declan, he'll be a senior in college. It could lead to a career after that because you start to make connections and that sort of thing. Internships are so cool. They really are. Declan ran as a running back for Indiana University before hitting the transfer portal in 2024. He's shown real interest in sports media, but wrestling hasn't faded from his mind. Back in 2023, he talked about showing up at a buddy's wrestling practice, hinting the family trade might still pull him in. With WWE locking in this huge ESPN deal to air major events on their streaming and TV spots, Declan's timing feels like pure fate. From the football field to the production desk, and maybe someday calling the shots ringside, his path stretches wide. Is Declan McMahon gearing up for a spot in the ESPN WWE mashup, or just dipping his toes before diving into the family ring game? Unfortunate news for WWE following Raw. WWE is ramping up toward Crown Jewel after their strong start on ESPN with WrestlePalooza, but last week's Raw pulled in just 2.3 million viewers, with 4.5 million global hours on Netflix per their weekly update. The show, which topped Netflix charts several times since January, dropped to number 8, its worst spot there. September has been rough overall, with the September 15th episode hitting only 2.6 million views and 5.3 million hours. Compared to September 1st, the prior low at 2.4 million views, things look shaky. WWE has wrestled with ratings for weeks, but AJ Lee's return boosted SmackDown to records and carried momentum into WrestlePalooza. Lee hasn't appeared since that win. Her husband, CM Punk, returns to Raw next week, but her next steps stay unclear. She signed a deal for her comeback, though the number of dates is unknown. The ex-Divas champion has plenty of paths with WWE's women and even got a shout-out on Raw this week. Another star getting heat lately is John Cena, and Triple H just revealed his last match hits December 13th. Crown Jewel brings him against AJ Styles in a fan-favorite clash, but whether it pulls WWE from this dip is anyone's guess. Biggest backstage reason why WWE isn't that good in 2025. Inside sources and fans agree that WWE's 2025 game is far from its peak. The former creative boss gave a sharp take on why things are off. On the latest Sportskeeda's Writing with Russo, host Dr. Chris Featherstone talked with inside sources about AJ Lee and the overall creative vibe. When zeroing in on the women's division, inside sources said WWE's booking has drained the spark from nearly every female star. They pointed out that WWE's juggling too much with its shows, pinning down the main reason the product feels weak. It's funny, bro, because the landscape we're talking about, WWE shows being all over the place, that all goes back to how many shows they're writing a week. That's what it all goes back to. That's why everything seems like a big mess. Last minute, things don't make sense. It's the way they're writing the shows. Inside sources argued that WWE's current approach can't hold up long term. The sports entertainment giant keeps piling on more, thinning out the TV quality. They said there's just no time to craft a solid show. Inside sources brought up Fox ditching their 5-year SmackDown deal, saying TKO now plays with bigger dogs and faces tougher stakes. Here's the thing, they're going to get away with it for a while, but they're in bed with big hitters now. Like I said, a lot of people swept this under the rug and nobody wants to talk about it. We saw what happened with Fox. These companies are bigger than Fox. Big hitters here means ESPN and Netflix. Fox seemed ready to walk away after their SmackDown deal ended. WWE pushed for a big raise on the $200 million a year deal from 2019, a number that broke records for wrestling broadcasts back then. It didn't happen. In 2025, Netflix is shelling out 150% more for Raw, and the deal runs longer too. It'll be a wait to see how the ESPN and Netflix deals shake out. Andrade officially signs a new deal with AEW. Andrade is back in the All Elite world for good. After his surprise jump on the October 1st episode of AEW Dynamite, the ex-WWE star has now inked a full-time contract with All Elite Wrestling. Fightful Select reports that Andrade had no holdback clause after WWE let him go earlier this summer, so he could hit the ring right away. His comeback saw him slam Kenny Omega and tie up with the Don Callis family, shaking the whole AEW scene. The wild post-match mess kicked off after Kenny Omega and Brudito beat the Young Bucks and Josh Alexander. As Omega soaked in the cheers, the Bucks pounced with a beatdown before Jack Perry and Luchasaurus rushed the ring to even things up. But bad blood boiled fast between Perry and Omega, sparking a tense standoff until the lights cut out. When they snapped back on, Andrade stood dead center and unleashed a fierce attack on Omega. Now, with his deal sealed, Andrade is planted on a major platform and right in the heart of one of AEW's hottest tales. His last WWE spot was at SummerSlam, teaming with Rey Fenix in a 6-pack TLC for the Tag Team Championships. He hadn't shown since, and WWE never said a word about his exit. Andrade's fresh start in AEW doesn't just strengthen the Don Callis family, it hands him a blank page to build on his own terms, free from limits, quiet company moves, and lost time. SmackDown viewership sees a decrease despite Jacob Fatu's return. The September 26, 2025 episode of WWE Friday Night SmackDown packed in some real highlights. Jacob Fatu came back to TV and kicked off a fresh beef. But even with that, the numbers took a hit. Programming Insider reports SmackDown pulled in 1.238 million viewers, a drop from the 1.342 million who tuned in on September 19th, 2025. In the key P18-49 group, it hit a 0.35 rating, down a touch from last week's 0.37. This week's Friday Night SmackDown had plenty of standout spots, like Jacob Fatu's return where he started a new feud with Drew McIntyre by laying him out. Jade Cargill also got busted open hard in the WWE Women's title match with Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax. All sorts of big moments filled the night. We'll keep bringing the newest viewership stats and key updates from Friday Night SmackDown as WWE ramps up for Crown Jewel. What do you think about the latest episode of Friday Night SmackDown taking such a dip in viewership? Rey Mysterio's return update. A new report just cleared up when WWE Hall of Famer Rey Mysterio might step back into the ring. The 50-year-old star has been out of action since mid-April. Mike Johnson from PW Insider Elite says the master of the 619 is due at the Performance Center this week. Word is he's pushing hard to get medically okayed for his return. Rey Mysterio had to sit out after hurting his leg on the last SmackDown before WrestleMania 41. He was lined up to face El Grande Americano at the Showcase of the Immortals. Rey Fenix jumped in for him, but the fellow masked fighter ended up losing to the big man. Even without wrestling, Mysterio has popped up at several AAA events, including the Two Worlds Collide shows. On the September 12th Premium Live event, he had to wrap the AAA Mega Championship around his son Dominic Mysterio's waist after Dom beat El Hijo del Vikingo for the title. On the Club 520 podcast, Rey Mysterio dropped his tough guy act to big up his on-screen foe and real-life son, Dominic Mysterio. The legendary luchador said watching his son's rise over the last 4 years felt amazing. He added that Dirty Dom carries so much confidence and he wished he'd had that same fire and smarts at Dom's age. To see his growth over the past 4 years and how he just evolved into this character and embraced it and just now completely owns it is awesome, man. His confidence is, I wish I had some of that when I was his age, and I wish I knew what he knows now when I was his age. I had no clue. I was learning as I was going. But I think the huge factor in this is he was thrown in right away to swim with sharks, and he figured that out. He learned how to swim with sharks, he said. We'll have to wait and see if the Mysterios clash again before Dad calls it quits. Do you want Rey and Dominic to face off one more time? Hit the discuss button and let us know. A stalker threatens to kill a WWE legend's wife. Shocking video has surfaced of a stalker terrorizing a WWE great's spouse. Cops rushed in during the scary clash, and the chilling clip spread like wildfire on social media today. Matt Hardy's wife, Reby Hardy, got caught in a nasty run-in with a stalker close to their home in Cameron, North Carolina. She posted the tense footage to Instagram today, showing the standoff right in the road. Reby can be seen clashing with a guy in a truck, and she said he hurled a racial slur at her and warned he'd shoot her. Matt and Jeff Hardy, known as the Hardy Boys, are lined up to defend the TNA World Tag Team Championship against NXT Tag Team Champions Dark State in a winners-take-all match at NXT vs. TNA Showdown on October 7th. Inside sources recently gave their take on the Hardy Boys coming back to WWE. The company struck a partnership with TNA earlier this year, sparking several thrilling returns. On Sportskeeda Wrestling's Writing with Russo show, the former WWE writer laid out his thoughts on the legendary tag team rejoining the promotion. It would be great if they kind of had a new young team there that reminded you of the Hardys, you know what I'm saying. Inside sources said, and then the Hardys can get in a program with them with the purpose of getting this new young team over. But man, when I'm just looking at that roster and I'm looking at those teams, I don't know off the bat who you'd put them in there with. I mean, New Day or the Street Profits or the Vikings War Raiders, he said. It'll be a thrill to watch if the Hardy Boys can pull off the win during next week's special episode of WWE NXT. A Hall of Famer signs a new WWE contract after 15 years. Big news just dropped. A Hall of Famer has locked in a new WWE contract after a 15-year gap. The star hasn't had a deal like this with the company in ages. Hacksaw Jim Duggan stands tall as one of WWE's all-time greats, loved for his never-say-die grit in the ring and his knack for stealing hearts. His fire and heart in every match made him a crowd favorite. A report hinted earlier that Jim Duggan had signed with WWE after years away. While he popped up for a few appearances, he wasn't tied to a full-time deal then. Now, in a chat with Connell Rumsey of WrestleTalk, Jim Duggan shared that he signed his first Legends contract with WWE in January, marking his return after 15 years. He also noted he owns his name, a big reason for the deal. I just recently re-signed with WWE in January. I hadn't been on one in probably 15 years, but I finally, because actually, I own my name. A lot of guys don't own their own name. Back in the WWF, if Vince McMahon created your name like Big Boss Man or Brutus the Barber Beefcake, when you left that territory, you couldn't use that name. But myself and Macho Man, we trademarked our name years ago. Lately, WWE has been bringing back legends and signing them to deals. Under Triple H's watch, more old-school stars have shown up in the crowd or taken part in the action. Some, like Nikki Bella and Trish Stratus, have even jumped back into the ring. It's up in the air if Jim Duggan will lace up his boots for a one-time return. Triple H booking Roman Reigns and OG Bloodline member in another betrayal angle. The latest Raw brought Roman Reigns roaring back. The original Tribal Chief had been missing from WWE's weekly shows since Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed wrecked him at Clash in Paris. Reigns had beaten the Tribal Thief there, but the heels jumped him after the bell. This week on the Red Brand, the Usos went at the Bronze in a Tornado Tag Team match. Near the end, Breaker and Reed piled Jay and Jimmy one on top of the other. The Auszilla climbed the ropes for his Tsunami Splash, but before the 37-year-old could leap, Roman Reigns charged in with a steel chair. He smashed the Vision pair, letting the Usos turn it around and grab the win. After the dust cleared, the OTC hugged Jay and pumped up the Yeet Master. Big Jim stood off to the side watching. Amid it all, he skipped Jimmy, leaving fans scratching scratching their heads. Now, it looks like Triple H might line up Roman Reigns and an OG Bloodline member for another betrayal story. In a wild turn, Jimmy Uso could stab the former world champion in the back again. He did it at Night of Champions 2023 with a super kick that cost Roman and Solo Sikoa a shot at the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championship against Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. With Big Jim clearly down about Jay and Reigns' moves, the game could book him to flip on the former undisputed WWE Universal Champion soon, maybe even at Crown Jewel, Perth. For now, though, that's just a guess. Fans in the arena lost it over Roman Reigns' return to the weekly shows on Raw, but inside sources weren't as thrilled. On Legion of Raw on Sportskeeda WrestleBinge, inside sources slammed the Triple H creative team's choices. They said Reigns' comeback got the cheers, but killed the fire and heat the Vision pair had built. The former WWE head writer called the whole booking clueless and cringe. On top of all that, you're going to bring him in for the pop, and you're going to completely take all the heat, any steam you had on the heels whatsoever. We're going to beat Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed, and the Usos beat them, and now the heels have absolutely no heat. So what did you do, bro? You satisfied the pop for the marks, and how you've totally again. Okay, now let's start all over with Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. Let's go through 6 weeks of tsunamis to get the heat back. The booking is so terrible, clueless, and cringe, inside sources said. Still, it'll be a thrill to watch what the Triple H creative team cooks up for Roman Reigns in the weeks ahead. Randy Orton betrays Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes reclaimed the undisputed WWE Championship at SummerSlam and has since held off Drew McIntyre at WrestlePalooza. The American Nightmare now gears up to face World Heavyweight Champion Seth Rollins for the Men's Crown Jewel Championship at the upcoming Premium Live event in Perth. Whispers are flying that Randy Orton might turn on his former protege, Cody, and join the Vision, maybe even at Crown Jewel. While it hasn't gone down yet, here are 3 reasons why Orton should betray the American Nightmare and link up with the heel crew. Earlier this year, Randy Orton made it clear he's chasing a 15th World Championship. After falling short against John Cena for the undisputed WWE Championship at Backlash, Orton jumped into the 2025 King of the Ring tournament, but Cody Rhodes stopped him cold in the final at Night of Champions. With the Viper still gunning for World Champ Gold, he could flip heel at Crown Jewel Perth. In a jaw-dropping twist, Orton might betray the American Nightmare at the Big Show, joining the Vision and costing Rhodes his shot against Seth Rollins. If this plays out, it could light the fuse for a heated feud between the two veterans and maybe set up an undisputed WWE Championship clash down the line. Drew McIntyre laid out Cody Rhodes on the SmackDown after SummerSlam. That pulled Randy Orton into a fresh fight, stepping up to call out McIntyre for jumping his former mentee. Their clash ended on the September 12th episode of The Blue Brand, with Orton taking a high-profile loss to the Scottish Warrior. After that beatdown, the Viper might need to turn heel to rebuild his edge and cement himself as a real threat on the men's roster. The Vision's one of the top heel groups in the Stamford Company right now. Betraying Cody Rhodes and joining them would make Orton look fiercer and crank up his dangerous vibe. Plenty of fans see Randy Orton as a better fit for a villain than a hero. His dark side makes him a scarier, more gripping force on the roster. He's racked up huge wins over the years playing the bad guy. With his good guy run stalling after recent SmackDown setbacks, Orton might need to lean back into his heel roots to shake up his character and story. One way to pull it off? Betray Cody Rhodes and jump to the Vision at Crown Jewel.